It's gloriously sunny out here today, so I figured I would spend 10 minutes of my time sitting in the sun and cracking some hickory nuts and making some hickory nut tea. No need to splurge on a fancy nutcracker. Fingers and a hammer do just fine. The beauty of hickory nut tea is that you don't need to spend your time prying every single bit of nut meat out of the shell. You can just take this cracked shell like this and toss it right in a bowl. So I have a bowl here of cracked shells. This is actually probably more full than you need. A cup or two is worth it, but I was just having fun sitting in the sun. And I'll just take this, shells and nut meat and all, and throw it right in a big pot of water. These are shell bark hickory nuts that I purchased from a woman off of Facebook Marketplace. She was also selling them without the shell, just the nut meat, and it felt like she was charging an arm and a leg, and frankly I don't blame her. They're a lot of work. But she was practically giving them away for free if I bought them still in the shell like this. And I have taken the time to crack a bunch and get all of the meat out and eat the meat as fresh eating, and it's delicious. I really enjoy it. Probably not as tasty as a shagbark hickory, but still really wonderful. That being said, making this tea with them is a fantastic way to get all the benefits and the nutrients and the deliciousness out of it without doing nearly any of the work. So I'm just filling up a pot of water, dumping these in, and I'm going to let this simmer. Ideally, if I had a wood stove or something, I might let it sit on that wood stove and simmer overnight. I'll probably put this on my induction burner for an hour or two and turn it off, and then I'll do another hour or two and turn it off. And probably by tomorrow morning, it will have extracted everything I want out of these nuts. After a few hours of heating, I have found that a lot of the nut meat has shrugged itself out of the shell, and all of the shells will sink to the bottom, leaving a layer of nut meat rising to the top. So when you're ready to pour this drink out, it's really easy to strain out the shells, or capture the nut meat and then just strain out the shells. And you can eat the nut meat, which has been pretty extracted and is kind of soggy, or you can leave it in the tea and kind of have this unique chunky tea experience. And I don't know, the first time I heard chunky tea, I wasn't super into it. But I've really enjoyed tasting it. I've really enjoyed kind of sipping at my tea and then biting at a soggy nut. It sounds so gross, but you should give it a try sometime. All right, so this is what it looks like after an evening of simmering. It's dark brown, almost coffee-like. And oftentimes there'll even be like a layer of oil at the top here. If you did this with a whole lot of nuts, you would get a nice thick layer of oil that you could even scrape off and use as hickory nut oil. Like I said, there's some nut meat that's floated to the top, while a lot of the shells have sunk to the bottom, and a lot of the nut meat has come out of the shells. I like to just scoop this up, put it right in a mug, and have it instead of morning coffee or tea. You could add a little maple syrup for a totally local and tree-based drink. I hope you guys get a chance to try it. I've really enjoyed it this winter.